We'll call this morning's meeting to order an hour and a half late. And we'll have the roll call, please. Please.
Alan,
She can't, she's online. She can't,
Juby,
Should be here.
Leonard
here.
Sanchez, Williams, Roth,
Roth here.
Kenyon.
Yeah.
You have a quorum in the room.
okay. Debbie Allen is doing remote, but she's having a very difficult time keeping her remote and hearing what's going on. She didn't request anything, so we need a unanimous approval to approve the minutes. Mr.
I so
Leonard?
move.
Mr. Leonard, was that? Any discussion? Seeing none. They're approved. No, we do have public comment. Are you public comment? All right.
Yay. I'm here about the expanding the ordinance for the chicken, so I won't go through all those tidbits of information again, but I did want to say thank you for making it official and putting it on the agenda, and I'm very hopeful that it can continue to progress. I wanted to briefly touch on the care and keeping of chickens. It's very, very easy. I feel that comparing chickens to dogs is accurate because it's similar. People who have chickens are proud of their chickens, so the landscaping is adorable. The coops are adorable just because it's such a thing now to have backyard chickens. So I feel like it doesn't have to be like the fencing and the tin siding. Doesn't have to trash up our neighborhoods. It can look very pretty. People who clean the chicken coops often and use things like limestone to keep down the smell. They prevent their yards from smelling like a farm. They prevent flies. There's feeders that the chickens have to step on so that they can access the food. So that keeps down pests. So keeping chickens does not mean that you suddenly have a farm next door to you with rodents and like unaesthetically pleasing stuff. It can look very nice. So I just hope that as you consider this and move this along, that you know that it can look very pretty. And that's kind of the backyard chicken trend, is that people are so proud and they treat them like their pets. And that's all I got for today.
Thank
Thank you. I guess what would be the process then? So like, do you all just keep moving that forward? What would the next step look like?
Slowly,
I know, I noticed that.
slowly.
Could you state just executive?
Michelle Lingworthy.
Once you eat fresh eggs like this, you not want to go back.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Question.
It's-
Why did-
The question is. I'm
Mr.
making a
Chair.
Comment. He's gonna do it.
Okay.
Who is?
Okay. Mr. Leonard,
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention, to answer your question, doesn't have to go through finance or any other committee, so it will go directly to executive
Okay,
and then from executive to the county board.
okay,
So it's a relatively quick process
Yeah.
at this point.
that's good.
ordinance against it,
Relatively.
just probably do it anyway.
Yeah.
Perfect. So my grandkids will have backyard chickens.
Mr. Hopefully not. Sooner, hopefully soon. Thank you, Michelle.
So
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
we'll cover it after the presentation. So this morning, we're just asking for direction from the committee if you want us to draft text amendments. Then those text amendments would come back to the committee and development committee, since they kind of oversee the zoning ordinance. And then it would go, there'd be a public hearing before the zoning board to actually have a public hearing for the text amendments, and then it would come back through the full county board as a amendment to the zoning ordinance. So it was a little bit longer process. But this morning we wanted to be able to see the presentation just on some of the things that we found about other communities and ordinances and what kind of things we think might be appropriate for the county to consider changing in ours.
There will be no report from Mr. Arnold because he's on vacation and route home. I'll say that the big thing coming up in Farm Bureau world is we're gonna have a gala. It's the 17th of September. It'll be up at Gobert's. And we want to raise more money for education. As you know, we've had a scholarship program for like 20 years, and we give at least 23 scholarships every year to, and it's not only for farm people. We've helped a lot of people in the city of St. Charles. and that's all we want to do. There's a program over there this weekend, right, Anita?
No, it's the middle of next month, actually. In our Kane County Connects, they referenced a program it's going to be it's the Chicago Wilderness Alliance Kane County Field Day. And it's sponsored through the Farm Bureau. And it's a day trip to go out and see some of these cool things going on. They're going to the Garlic Breath Farm in Elburn, the Wildflower Farm in Virgil, the Heritage Prairie Farm in Elburn, Rising Lights Project Garden, Elburn, and Garfield Farm, and then returning for ice cream. So it is on the King County Connects website. It's $25. It sounds like it's gonna be kind of a fun day.
Just FYI, this is right behind you. This is Janice. Anyone who wants to attend, just let me know and I'll reserve your spot. And it's comped for the board through grant funds that we're using, but I do have to be careful of, you know, how many people we have without getting into noticing for meetings.
Could you say the date again, please?
The date is August, I should know this off the top of my
It's the
head. So
15th.
Tuesday, August 15th. We started the Farm Bureau and we ended the Farm Bureau and then all the farms in a lunch meeting at Heritage, a lunch presentation at Heritage Prairie. And we have a speaker on climate and agriculture. As you know, weather has been a super issue and will continue to be for our landowners, for our farmers. So we'll be talking about that. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll register you. Yep. So you're a yes for sure, right? Okay.
Oh, another comment, the food bank people aren't here because he had a prior meeting. So we'll move right into Mark Van Kerkhoff's reign of
Reign of terror.
potential zoning ordinance.
Great, yeah, we, Michelle, who had made comments at previous meetings, and the committee had directed staff to go ahead and take a look. And I'm introducing Hera Mir, who's one of our zoning planners. I tasked her with the project of researching what some of our Kane County municipalities are doing for backyard chickens, what some of our other counties around us have done. We received a lot of good information from Michelle and from other communities, and Hera's got a presentation for you this morning.
Thank you. If you can hold the PowerPoint up, thank you.
You have to try and speak louder.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you, Mark. So bear with me. All right. So our presentation today is going to be on backyard chickens within the King County. Just kind of going over a little bit of background as far as what the regulations we have currently. Backyard chickens are regulated to some degree within King County. We do have setbacks, 100 feet setback from the neighboring residents, as well as we also have lot size requirements, especially in the R district. It's about minimum of 1 acre or so. But however, in our PUD, plan unit development, it is not, backyard chickens are not permitted unless specifically it is granted in that PUD. Since we started doing some research over time, we found out that many municipalities have updated their ordinance to allow for backyard chickens. So therefore, we are also taking a look at our text amendment could include by reducing the setbacks or lot size requirement, as well as provide for backyard chickens to be allowed in the plan unit development. Oh, there we go. So as you know, oh my God, this is going way faster than me. So some of the pros, of course, to have backyard chickens, we all kind of, the first thing when we think about backyard chickens, we think about fresh eggs, fresh organic eggs. Also, it helps reduce insect population within your backyards. As well as chickens are known for chicken manure is great source of nitrogen-rich fertilizer, which can be a definite pro, as well as helping reduce waste. Up to 10% of our chicken diet can be your leftovers, making them a great way of recycling your foods and reducing waste. But along with pros comes cons as well. Having chickens, a lot of this stuff that we do notice is, the complaints that we do get might be the smell, or, coops can lead up to diseases and death of birds, possible rodent infestation. As well as if you're not practicing proper hygiene after handling birds or eggs, possible infection of, salmonella is also kind of a possibility. Noise is something that, can be a big concern as well, having backyard chickens. As well as chickens are required the same care and medical attention as other animals. So some of the research in looking at other counties, actually within counties, we've discovered that some of the major counties, McHenry County, Kendall County, and Will County all do allow for permitted uses for backyard chickens. We did notice that a lot of them have restrictions as far as how many chickens they can have per lot size. Lot size is definitely less than 1 acre. Is that what we have discovered over doing our research? And then other stuff that they do require might be permits or housing requirements and setbacks. Two of the municipalities within King County that we reached out to and kind of did some research and found out what they were doing, what their regulations were as far as backyard chickens. One of them was City of Batavia, and we discovered that a maximum of 8 domestic hens are permitted. No roosters are allowed. Single family residents or different zones like public facility and institutional zone lots are allowed to have chickens, as well as chickens must be kept in the rear yard of residential properties. Also, they have a setback of 30 feet from adjacent residential structure, but not in no case less than the minimum property line setback for accessory structure in the zoning district. So that was our finding from City of Batavia. We also looked into City of Elgin. An interesting thing we discovered from Elgin is that they do require a valid chicken license to be issued prior to purchasing chickens. So that was definitely interesting. And I think also City of Aurora, I also discovered the City of Aurora as well requires a license as well to be in place before and any chickens have been purchased. As well as they mentioned that baby chickens can be kept indoors until they are fully feathered up to 8 weeks. Maximum of 4 chickens. Rooster is prohibited, which is a pretty major trend throughout that we've seen. Chickens must always be contained within a coop or an enclosure. And chicken coop must be at least 25 feet from your neighbors or visible from the streets. So that was something interesting that covered. So possible text amendment to the King County zoning ordinance, looking into this would be maybe reducing the 100 feet setback from the adjacent residence. Or maybe reduce the minimum lot size requirement. Currently, we do have that minimum 1 acre in the R district. And then allow backyard chickens in the planned unit development with parameters similar to other municipalities, such as setback and number of chickens. So currently, we don't have anything as far as number of chickens. It's just basically you can have up to 100, you have to be 100 feet away from your neighboring residents. So that's something maybe we can look into. Possible actions would be direct staff to draft a text amendment for review by the Agriculture Committee as well as and Community Development Committee. So thank you.
Well, Mr. Roth,
I had a couple questions. Do you know what the fee is in Elgin and Aurora?
No, they did not. I didn't see that come
Okay.
across that, but that's a good question. We can definitely look into that.
We don't care about them? Okay.
this
I'm
is
just going on record.
appropriate.
Mr. Kenyon said that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but it's some money, so.
So would the committee like to instruct
Right.
that they come up with an ordinance?
Yes,
Okay.
I would.
Yes.
Campton Hills has a extensive ordinance on this too, I believe.
Ken, I couldn't hear.
Oh, yeah. So I was just mentioning that Campton Hills, I know, has an ordinance on it. And I just had a legal question. Do the ordinances, any of the ordinances address any sale of eggs by the people who have the backyard chickens?
I think I know for Batavia, it's not allowed, but I can double check and see, go back.
The egg police.
I was told that up to some limit that eggs grown, in your backyard or by individuals are not subject to FDA regulations. I don't know that that's a fact, but that seemed to be, along with everything else in the world, a big issue out in Campton Hills these days.
Oh. Any other suggestions, Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we should also come up with a number of chickens in this amendment.
Mhm.
And then, with respect to the setback from the property line, I think we should have a definitive number of feet too. So that when we go to it, it may want to be adjusted or amended by people when they vote on it, but at least we have some parameters that they can make a decision on or amend.
Okay, you've got your marching orders. Have it by next week. Okay, we,
Should they decide which came first?
what, the chicken or the egg? Which came first? Livestock marketing is Matt Hensley. You want to talk about that?
Yes, good morning. Thank you. I do have a couple of quick updates on our livestock market assessments. Do you mind if I have the remote? Thank you. So we are currently in the process of working with our consultant team. And at this phase, we are in the production capacity analysis. So typically, with any sort of market analysis or market assessment, you have a supply side analysis, gathering data on supply and production. And then later, the demand analysis will be a later phase. So right now, we're gathering information from farmers, producers. That's going to be, to help us get a sense of what the production landscape in Kane County looks like. So looking at different types of products, the volumes of production, but most importantly, we are trying to get a better understanding of the types of market challenges and operational challenges that livestock farmers are dealing with. So that's going to kind of help inform, potential strategies that the county might be able to support to, address some of those. So part of the outreach has involved a survey. This is a survey of about 25 or so questions. And so we're promoting this through a variety of different avenues. So that includes the Growing for Kane e-newsletter. We've been fortunate to work with the Farm Bureau to get an announcement in their Kane County Farmer publication. I was surprised to see that has a circulation of around 16,000 in the county, which was just really impressive to me. And they also helped us to distribute the flyer that you see here at the Kane County Fair to try to get the word out for anybody that might be exhibiting livestock there. And we did get an offer from our partners with the McHenry County Center for Agrarian Learning, just to kind of share this through their network in case anybody has a livestock operation that sells products into Kane County as well. And I will say it has been a little bit slow to get survey responses. So right now we're in the process of sending out personalized email invitations to those that we've identified as livestock operators in the county. So we think that, usually that personal outreach kind of helps to get some better survey response. And then in addition to the surveys, our consultant team is also conducting a series of phone interviews. So we want to do at least 5 phone interviews with livestock operators so that we can get a little bit more detailed and nuanced feedback. We can get a little bit better qualitative information when we can have a conversation with farmers over the phone and just get some more candid discussion from them. So I believe we've had 3 of those interviews have been set up so far. So we're hoping to get, maybe 2 or 3 more arranged. So we're trying to represent, some of the major sectors. So we'll have a dairy operator, a beef and cattle farmer, as well as poultry and pork operations as well, just kind of so that every sector is covered. And then just to wrap up, I did want to share a few updates on the Urban Agriculture Innovative Production Grant Program. This is the other program that we're working on right now that was awarded USDA grant funding. And again, the concept is to provide training and mentoring services to Kane County's farmers. So at this stage, we've started to reach out informally to potential partners that could be providing those services, who would be responding to an eventual request for proposals to provide those services for the county. And we've also been gathering direct input from farmers, which is really the most important piece, just so that we know very clearly what types of topics they want these trainings to cover, and also what the best format for these, what format these trainings should take, whether it's a virtual Zoom meeting or an in-person classroom, or even more like a one-on-one mentoring arrangement, kind of like how you would see with like somebody working with a financial advisor, kind of like by appointment. So we're gonna use that feedback to write the request for proposal and just be specific about the types of services that we're looking at from a potential training organization. So right now we're aiming to have that request for proposal ready and released by next month. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
None.
Excellent job, Steve. No questions. I mean,
Right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
either that, they want to go to lunch.
Yes, we do. Have Agnes.
Yes. So Janice Hill, you're what's between us and lunch? Maybe an afternoon nap.
Well, just as, the goal and the reason that we're doing all this is to support our farm community.
You're not on.
Oh, there we go. The reason that we do the work we do is to support our farm community and our farm land use, right? If we don't have farmers and we don't have land, we don't have farms. And Matt just went over 2 big grants that we have to support farmers. But all of this takes money, right? So we always have our eye on what's coming down the pike. And there's no decision requested of you today, but I just wanted to give you a heads up so that you know what's happening. And although we try to keep our funding diverse from lots of sources, we all know that the federal funding is like #1 that we try to go for because the amount is significant. And this comes through Farm Bill legislation, federal. You could see the bottom there, we've had 4 farm bills, 202, 208, 214, and 218 that we've participated in. And if you look at the top started in 1933. So it's been around for a while. The portion that we go for within the Farm Bill is called conservation, which is that gold sliver there. But you could see the Farm Bill covers so many other topics, including the largest one, which is nutrition. And you often hear about that topic when the Northern Illinois Food Bank is here. A lot of those programs come under that category. But you can see so many activities and topics are in the Farm Bill. So, lots of different groups now are projecting the Farm Bill is to expire this fall. So what's going to happen? Are we going to have a new Farm Bill? They're part of the way through, or will we have an extension? So, I don't think anyone knows for sure, but I think what could happen is that we would have an extension. And the reason why I bring this up is there are often unused funds when you have an extension, and we'll get a call and say, do you have anything you want to fund? Because we've got some money that Michigan didn't use, or Indiana, or Ohio. And because we're the only farmland protection program, they call us, right? That would be the state NRCS office. And then they call headquarters back and say, yes, Kane County wants to do something. So we need to kind of keep that in mind because as you know, we are in budget process right now. And so, you know, this is always helpful that we have our supporters. I would say the number one supporter in the US is the American Farm Bureau. And not only do they rally around the program itself, but also look what they would propose at the bottom, an 80% federal contribution. Now, I don't know if they're going to be successful there for this year. We'll find out. But boy, oh boy, wouldn't that be great to have a split that was, you know, so much more on the federal side. But I'd like to just acknowledge our National Farm Bureau for their support in this. And here's the other thing that has happened, and obviously, you know, as a county board that you have rescue funds that you are working with for the county level, but there is federal funding that went directly into the programs with a lens on climate mitigation and addressing climate. So within the program that we're in, you can see that highlighted 1.4 billion for the program. That's national for all, but I think there are only like 6 states that don't have programs. But keep in mind, we do not have a program, a state program in Illinois. So that means us, basically, for our portion. So now the easements might be slightly different because they're going to have a lens on it, but it's basically the same format. We don't know exactly what this is going to mean, trickle down detail, but I wanted to give you the heads up that that's our portion of that 1.4 billion has our name on it, because otherwise it probably isn't going to get used and it'll go to another state. So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, the way I look at it in terms of federal investment. Could it be that we get what the federal government, what the American Farm Bureau is looking for, 80% coverage along with all the money for our state? That's like fingers crossed for me, but it's that news hasn't been released yet. And, you know, there's the topic about, this is American Farmland Trust. I pulled the text from one of their reports and they talked about loss, you know, and who's going to lose farmland. And that's us. I mean, we know the development pressures are here. But what's interesting to me is that they are focusing on the small vegetable farms that are throughout our county, actually. And Matt did this map a while ago, and it's more illustrative than accurate, because I think when he did this based on, for today, because when he did this, it was based on a survey and he was working with 27 farmers that responded. And we know we have double that now, at least, because our number of local food farms, but they're throughout the county. And they serve throughout the county. And if you want your markets to be able to get your products, then you have to have the farms. So working to support them in the coming years, I think, is going to be more and more important. And when we talk about what's at stake, so much of this also has to do with the climate and weather that's happening right now. You know, we're in a drought, and issues of water accessibility. And, you know, Matt talked about livestock, a big, you know, having livestock, you have to have shelter for them, and shelter through all kinds of storms and extreme weather situations. So let alone our own drinking water and protection of our own assets that we have here. But these are the things that we're going to see. And then a glimmer into what I think might happen, we might see a little bit more in the future, competition for what crops are being grown. Are they energy crops? Are they crops for export? You know, who's going to be a benefit of that? So how can we help our farmers here in Kane make it, you know, adapt the way they need to be able to adapt on their operation? And NRCS at the federal level has identified these practices, categories, and then practices that can come out of that funding that I just talked about, that IRA funding. Now, they haven't said to what degree, they will fund, but the owner, the farmer has some responsibility in some of that cost share sometimes too. But for us to be able to bring money in for farmers to be able to apply for it is something that we're keeping an eye on, because if we don't apply, we can't, we're not like Pennsylvania that has a strong state program and they are going to apply. It's us taking the lead to at least make, ask the question. And I think that might be it. That was my last slide. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Roth has a
I'm sorry.
question.
I had a couple. On the one, if you can go back to the one that showed the breakout of the, the pie chart.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay,
go.
and you mentioned conservation, which I understand, and you mentioned, the big one, you said the example of the food banks. Are we going after any of those other sections in King County? Like, is there some program we could get money for in any of those other
Well,
categories? It's just a question. I mean, if we are,
I'm see if I can answer this.
Okay.
Because the Farm Bill is 5 years.
Right.
We have the opportunity to partner with anyone during those 5 years when they release program,
Right.
The RFPs for programs such as the program that Matt just highlighted, the urban agriculture program.
Right.
That fell into a different category other than conservation, and we did apply for it and we received it. So yes, over those 5 years, we have the opportunity to do that. I will tell you, it's a capacity issue, obviously. Right.
Of your time.
Of
or
our time,
to-
correct. Now, I will say that some of that, what we're investigating with that IRA money is how much they will reserve for technical assistance, which means then you can hire people,
Like an
assuming that there
admin,
are
right.
people to hire,
Right.
which is also a challenge.
Okay.
Some of this, I think I've mentioned before, in Illinois, where we have a kind of a brain drain when it comes to these experts. They often are found in Wisconsin and Michigan and other places where there are stronger state programs where they've been building their capacity. So in fact, right now, NRCS is doing a huge call to hire soil scientists to support throughout the state of Illinois. So yeah, so that's, but I mean, in theory, yes, in theory, we can, and we have done in the past partnerships with Illinois Farmers Market Association, let's say, to work on specialty crops and things
Right.
like that. Mhm.
Okay.
And then you had another question too.
On page 8.
Hmm.
You were talking about climate, and it said will lead to increased flooding, but I wasn't sure
Yes.
what part of climate is causing that, because if we're having drought. How can
We have the two extremes, the way the Midwest experiences flooding and drought
Right.
is how
Well,
we
like
experience
Chicago's
it.
having flooding right now.
Right. But it's all about infiltration, and that's why the conservation practices are
Critical.
so important. So some of the soil, because of the way some of the farming techniques, there's compaction of the soil
Right.
because of the primary two crops of corn and soybeans, and the fact that habitat and has been removed. A lot of the things that were on the farms before to give kind of relief from just edge to edge, corner to corner
Right,
cropping.
right.
And so part of the conservation techniques that are on here to encourage farmers, or to, let's put it this way, just to help offset the cost to make changes, like
Right.
changes in tillage and reduced nutrients into the soil and other things like that fall under the soil health and management. And the idea too is to not do a quick change, but to do a very specific change that works with your fields, which may vary even within a farmer's overall operation.
Right.
And those are the different, maybe rebuilding habitat, all those different things can help with that infiltration and not having the runoff
Right.
so fast. And then there are just some soils that are not as don't drain as well as others, right? So it's addressing that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
That's it.
Did I do okay with that?
Okay.
Okay.
Bill, you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay.
And then, and I don't see Debbie Allen online. We usually can count on her. But Jody's not here for a report. I mean, she's on the agenda.
I just learned within the last few days that she was not able to attend, that she's out of the office or on vacation today.
Oh, we're gonna flood.
Until the 25th is what her message says.
Anything else? Any other questions? We could end this meeting soon. We're the only thing in front of lunch. No new business? We need a motion to place reports. Oh, unanimous
Yeah.
consent.
So moved.
Seeing no objections, they're gonna,
Closed session, right, for minutes.
yeah, we don't have any, we have no executive sessions.
Very good.
We're on the open, see.
Okay.
We don't have any dark secrets or dark money. No more public comment. I see Gums just walked in, but so, no comment. Motion to adjourn.
Rothwell motion to adjourn?
Oh, God, he beat
Leonard
Phil Sims.
seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.